Welcome back to the Real with Joseph Labman. I am Joseph Labman. Merry Christmas to you guys as the Browns deliver a tremendous Christmas gift today as they defeat the Houston Texans, rather 36-22. Joe Flacco, Amari Cooper, both had monster games today, especially Amari Cooper, completely dominant. We're going to get into it. Before we get into it, though, I need you guys to need you guys to subscribe, hit the share button, share this content, but hit the like button for me on the way in. That should be automatic on the way in. So hit the like button for me. But no, I'd really appreciate that. If you're not subscribed here, subscribe. If you're new here, leave a comment below. We love your guys' feedback on the game as well as we're going on and discussing it throughout the live. But yeah, big game today for the Browns. Big win. Amari Cooper, dominant. I think I got the stats right here. Amari Cooper, let's see. Let me go to the right page. So Joe Flacco goes for 360, 368, 3 touchdowns. Amari Cooper, 11 receptions, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns. Had the bomb in the beginning of the game. Had the bomb later on in the first half. Longest one was 75 yards, 15 targets. It was almost like anything Amari wanted to do, he did it, and nobody could stop him. He was unstoppable today. Joe Flacco was unstoppable. The Browns came out of the gate firing, really aggressive, which I liked. Like I said, first play of the game was a bomb to Amari Cooper, got right down in the red zone. They were able to punch it in. And then from that point on, they never let their foot off the gas. They just kept going. And the defense was great. I think the questions about the defense, I was actually listening to Hanford Dixon's show earlier this week talking about this is a good game for the defense to show that they can travel because they've struggled on the road this year in the games they have struggled in. Today, no struggle at all. Granted, you're going against Case Keenum, but they did what they needed to do. They came out, they dominated, completely shut down the Texans. You look at Case Keenum there. Let's see. Case Keenum only 62 yards, 2 picks, sacked 3 times. Singletary only 44 yards running. And you look at the receiving core, not much. I mean, complete domination today from the defense as well. When they needed to stop, they made a stop. And it was a lot of 3 and outs today. It's funny watching the Texans play today. You just kind of saw a lot of like what Browns fans are used to seeing, which is a defense that gets gassed because the offense can't hold them out, can't keep them on the sideline long enough to let them get rest because the offense is 3 and out, 3 and out, 3 and out. Not today though. For the Browns though, the Browns today, I don't know if I've ever seen a Browns game in my lifetime. I'm 24 years old. I don't know if I've ever seen a Browns game in my lifetime like I saw today, where the team is 9-5. They're going to the playoffs. They're definitely going to the playoffs. And they go out in the end of the season and just dominate like this. I mean, it looked like if you're an Ohio State fan usually you watch Ohio State late in the year play like Purdue or something. That's what it looks like. And that's what it looked like today. I mean, it just looked flawless. I mean, and Joe Flacco, the fact that Joe Flacco, I'm going to continue to say, we're all going to continue to say it. The fact that Joe Flacco was on the street and not on a roster, but a lot of these other quarterbacks were. I mean, the ball he threw today, which one? The one that stood out to me was in the Njoku touchdown. I mean, that was an absolute rope, a dime, right across the middle with 3 guys in coverage. You look at the Amari Cooper bombs, both of them on the money. But the best play of the game to me, though, was the 4th down conversion where he's in the pocket, about to get sacked, and just flings it to Amari on the sideline, the left side. And Amari gets both feet in bounds. I mean, now, talk about a hell of a play. I mean, one hell of a play. You're not used to seeing that in the brown and orange, but we're seeing it this year. And I tell you what, if this offensive line can continue to get back, getting healthy, they can continue to establish the run more. They got 2 more games coming up. I think Thursday night at home against the Jets. I like our chances there. It looks like the Jets right now are finishing up their game down 1. Might have a chance to win, but I like the Browns at home Thursday night. And I really like us against Cincinnati now, that last game of the year. But, I mean, that last game of the year might not mean anything if we win next week or win Thursday, rather. So, before I get my guys up here, James Jones. Hi, Joseph. I'm Umbre from the YouTube comments. Keep up the healing work. Shout out to you, James. I appreciate your support. James has been one of my day one supporters. He's also one of the Anxiety Guy supporters as well. Thanks for tuning in, James. Salute to you, and keep up the good work on your healing journey as well, my brother. Yeah, shout out to James. But yeah, I mean, hell of a game. J.O.K. today on defense keeps standing out to me. Had an interception today. That guy is turning into one of the best linebackers in the league right before your eyes. One of the best defensive players in the league right before your very eyes. He really stood out to me today. A lot of guys, but Flacco and Amari were the stars today. Shout out to you again, James. But yeah, let me get my guys up here. Jersey.
Merry
Mike,
Christmas.
Hello, hello.
Mike's home Christmas Eve party.
Tis the season.
Tis the season. Tis the season today, Mike. What a hell of a game today. Christmas Eve.
Amazing game.
The Browns deliver an amazing Christmas gift to us. Mike, I'll let you start off since you're driving, and then we'll let Jersey hop in. Mike, you heard my take there. I mean, not a whole lot to say, but a lot to say today, if that makes sense.
Yeah. My players of the game, definitely Zadarius Smith. Hope he's fine. I think he is. I think he just dropped down because he was tired or had to poop. I don't know. Because he dropped down, you just saw him smiling. Couple takeaways. Obviously, Amari Cooper had himself a historic day. He's now one of only 3 players to have 4 games with that many yards, and he joins Calvin Johnson and oh my God, the cat from the Chargers, whose name I can never remember. And then also he broke the Browns' single game record for amount of yards. He broke Josh Gordon's record.
Yeah. And I remember watching Josh Gordon break that day too.
Oh yeah. That was the Jaguars game, right?
That was the Jaguars in December.
Yep. Absolute dominant performance from Amari Cooper against a really good corner. Derek Stingley Jr. is no joke. He's been great all year. And, just manhandled him. Like, this is his second year in the NFL, that kid. And I know he was hurt in his rookie year, so maybe this is Derek Stingley Jr.'s welcome to the NFL moment. He's going to be talking about the day Amari Cooper hung 260 on him.
Yeah, anything he wanted to do, it was flawless. I mean, it's just crazy to watch a game like that where a guy, really a team, but really just one guy and the quarterback that just anything they wanted to do, they did. Like the 4th down conversion late in the game, or maybe the 3rd quarter, just went right to Amari, and he got the late hit out of bounds too. I mean, just anything he wanted, he got it.
Yeah, and Alex Wright had himself a pretty good game, I thought. He continues to progress as a really good rotational guy on the team. He had a sack and kept getting consistent pressure throughout the game, and they moved him around inside out. I thought he played a good game, and so did Dalvin Tomlinson. Honestly, I think the whole team played really well.
Deflected that ball for the pick.
Hopefully, our Pro Bowl kicker is healthy by Thursday. I think they were just holding him out to be safe, I hope. And hopefully Corey Borges is healthy, because punter and our kicker out of all guys to go down today. But yeah, dominant performance.
Anthony Bell's our kicker right now.
Yeah, D'Anthony Bell. Here, I mean, he kicked that one ball and it went down to the 20, and they didn't get it much farther. And he made the tackle.
Yeah,
I thought I laughed.
Yeah, it's really the only thing the Browns gave up today was that kickoff return. Other than that, I mean, you want to count the garbage time points in the 4th quarter. I don't, but
I mean, you had Tanner.
They didn't give up anything today. They gave up nothing. You know what I mean? It was complete domination. Once they got to 36-7, this game was a wrap. So I already started making the live too. But Jersey, a lot from this game today. I know you're loving you got the Flacco fever right now. As a Browns fan since you were born at 77, so you've been a Browns fan a lot longer than Mike and I. How good is Joe Flacco and what you've seen since probably Bernie Kosar? Is he probably the best quarterback you've seen since Kosar in a Browns uniform?
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, if we had drafted Flacco, things probably would have been a lot different. But without a doubt, I mean, we haven't had a quarterback with that kind of talent and ability. I mean, ever. I hear Bernie, and I love Bernie. I mean, Bernie had a lot of games. I mean, it seemed like Bernie was always throwing over 400 yards. I mean, Bernie was great in Cleveland, but I mean, just talent-wise, might be the best quarterback in Cleveland since Otto Graham. You know what I mean?
Automatic Otto.
So, but just what a hell of a job. I mean, it's just amazing what happens when you bring a veteran in like that, what he can do to a locker room and what he can do to, whether it's the offense or the defense, whichever he plays on. But, if you look at a lot of those routes with Amari Cooper, I mean, it's just the timing. I mean, dead on every play. I mean, it's just amazing when you get that chemistry. And, but it's more on a quarterback to get that ball. I mean, perfectly timed, perfect placement. And, and it's good that, Stefanski and Flacco, they just kept going to him. You know what I mean? And they still were able to mix everybody else in, but just kept going to the guy. And they single-handedly beat the Texans. It's nice to see the offense be responsible for winning a game. The defense did what they should have did. I mean, they showed up, did what they should have did, but the offense won that game. And that's just, man, you talk about complimentary football. This is the team nobody wants to play. No one wants to play this team.
I don't know if anybody wants to play this team. I'll ask both of you guys, and Dad, you can go first. What would you think was the best throw of the day from Flacco? I think the one that Njoku was still the best one, but that fourth down,
that 4th and 8, the 4th and 8 one, or that one in Njoku, my gosh. But Flacco's probably done that many times. He's probably done both of them many times. But yeah, just the 4th and 8 because he was under duress on that one, and it's just absolutely perfect. I mean,
yeah.
So you talk about just having that trust in your receiver, and but that one in the Njoku was, I mean, that's just ice cold right there. It was awesome. Just amazing it's happening in Cleveland.
And great play calling too, Mike. I want to hear your favorite play as well, Mike. I think Mike's still there. Mike, you still there?
Yeah, I'm there. Sorry, yeah. You're going in and out a little bit. I think it's just because I'm on the highway.
Oh, you're good.
Yeah, the question was, what was the best catch?
What was your favorite play from Flacco? Really play in general. That my dad mentioned the 4th and 8 conversion. I like the Njoku touchdown, and I was kind of talking about too. Just Stefanski's play calling today was just phenomenal, dialing the stuff up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Stefanski's play calling. I mean, it's been good for weeks and weeks at this point. But yeah, my favorite was probably first play of the game. He throws an absolute dart and bomb to Amari Cooper to get us in on the first and goal.
I think Mike's Mike, you're cut now. We'll see if we can get you back in. Yeah, he was about the first.
Mike's right on that though, because that first play of the game just set the tone. That really stretched that defense out and made them think. And then to come back late in the first half and do it again. I mean, why not? I mean, you got a guy like Flacco that can throw that ball. So, but that first play of the game really, I mean, yeah, it set the tone and just really made it a lot easier for him. So,
yeah, Mike, let's see, we got you back now. But you were talking about the first play of the game, Mike? Okay, maybe we lost Mike. We'll see if he comes back in. But yeah, I mean, yeah, it set the tone for the game. And Mike said he's in the middle of nowhere. So,
yeah.
That's all right. Mike, if you could try to come back in when you get closer, we will try. But if not, appreciate you coming in. But, yeah, I mean, the first play of the game set the tone. It was complete domination from there on. Going back to Stefanski, on this show alone, we gave Stefanski a lot of crap throughout the season. I remember earlier in the year after the first quarter, we were kind of like, I don't think he's going to last during the season. Just the way things were trending. But ever since, I think since the bye, they cleaned it up and did well. I think you slowly start to see some things, drop some games over. You're kind of like, I got to win like the Seattle game or the that game there. But I think ever since Flacco's come to town, ever since the Baltimore game, and Joe Flacco coming to town, there's just been a different vibe with Kevin Stefanski, different play callings. The play calling's been the best it's been since he's been here. And there just seems to be a different vibe with this team. I mean, you listen to these guys and the Amari Cooper this week on the Rich Eisen show talking about why can't we go to the Super Bowl? Just the confidence. You're seeing the camaraderie on the sidelines, not just with the players, but with the coaches and the players. Something we haven't really seen. Just the energy, the culture. I think, and Stefanski's been a lot more emotional this year, especially recently. You could tell he's getting really in. Like today, I like the emotion I saw. Just guys are really bought into him right now, and I don't know. I mean, today it looked. I think a lot of people. It was Stefanski and the who's the Texans head coach who played today? I can't remember his name.
Texas head coach?
Yeah.
D'Amico Ryans?
Yeah, D'Amico Ryan, excuse me. Yeah, I think it was D'Amico Ryans and Stefanski. I think it's 1 and 2 for the Coach of the Year candidacy. Stefanski dominated that today.
Yeah, I mean, D'Amico Ryan's done a good job.
Yeah.
But the adversity that Stefanski's faced and gotten better. He's gotten better throughout the season. The team's gotten better, and they're playing their best football of the season now. I don't know how you don't give it to him, as long as they finish the season the way they did. I mean, 4 quarterbacks, O-line decimated. You're the top running back in the league. Second game of the year goes out, plays 5 quarters football, devastating injury. I don't know how he doesn't get it, other than the fact that he's in Cleveland and nobody wants to give it to somebody in Cleveland. But I think he's earned it, you know. And I was critical of him, and like I said, I think rightfully so. I was critical of him, but at the same time, I don't ever want to see a guy. I don't want to have to change a coach because it's never good. But he's just done this second half of the season. He's done a tremendous job, and I like to play calling. He keeps the defense off balance, and that second that long 55-yarder to Cooper at the end of the first half, bringing in Nick Harris and putting him in as the extra. You know what I mean? And
yeah, really making we're going to run this ball.
Yeah, caught him off guard. You know what I mean? He's always done a really good job of that. But I think the thing that's helping him the most now is he don't have to coach the quarterback. He just has
a tall quarterback.
Yeah, he don't have to coach that quarterback. He's got a guy out there running the offense that may know more than him. You know what I mean? It's like if it was me and I had, doing what I do and I had somebody sit next to me that's never ever done it. I got to spend a lot of time coaching that person, which is okay, but it adds more it takes away from other things that I can do versus me having a guy sitting there next to me that comes in that's basically the damn same experience level. You know what I mean? I don't have to coach that person. I just do what I do and trust that they're going to do what they do. So I think that's really helping him. Plus, it allows him to open up the playbook, and the play action is now effective as hell. I mean,
he's running the offense flawlessly. That's his offense. You're seeing what his offense is now, what he wants it to be. Something we haven't seen from the previous quarterbacks here. A lot because they were just small and limited. He's not. He has a big arm. He's tall. He's big in stature, and he's even over Deshaun. He's more of just a more fluid pocket passer, much better pocket. No. I mean, just in the pocket.
Yeah,
and he was what you used to call your typical pro quarterback.
Yeah, what an NFL quarterback used to be. That's the thing when I watch it. It's just a referendum on how terrible quarterback play is in the NFL now. So many guys are quarterbacks for the wrong reasons. They shouldn't be quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are just athletes now, pretty much.
They're just athletes playing quarterback a lot.
Yeah, that's all it is. And I guess that's where the games went. But so you have this guy coming in. It's going to be 39 years old next month. And he just makes it look easy. And it's just,
and it's not like he's just coming. He just came in and managed the game. He's won them games, game-winning drives, led the drives. I mean, 300-plus yards, multiple touchdowns. I mean, this dude's coming in like he's been in the league for the last however many years. You wouldn't think he's been off this year. And the fact that this guy didn't have a job again, but some of these other quarterbacks out there have jobs who are just not even game managers. They're just practice squad guys at best. You're just kind of like, what in the hell is going on?
Every front office other than the Browns should be investigated. I mean, if I'm an owner, I might fire my GM just for that reason. If I'm an owner and I got a team that underperformed, especially at quarterback position, I might just fire my GM just for that reason. I mean, especially if they go on and win.
That's why Andrew Berry, just like Chad always says to you, when Andrew Berry's up in that press box, and he's up there like this, like.
Right. I mean, he's looking like. I mean, he's just looking like gosh darn Jerry West of football right now. So
Yeah, he's out there like this. Like, where's my contract? Just
right.
But that's another thing too. I mean, what Andrew Berry's done this year, bringing back Kareem, bringing in Joe Flacco, and the way this team, considering all the adversity, has been able to perform, and the coaching, I mean, Bill Callahan and the coaching staff, but you got to give your front office credit too. Andrew Berry has done a pretty damn good job, I think, as a GM here in Cleveland. In his time, he needs to get more credit.
Yeah, he should. You know,
He's
we've been
drafted.
critical.
I think he's drafted pretty well. I know everyone saw the Anthony Schwartz pick, but I think he's actually hit this Tillman pick, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Tillman just hasn't got the targets, but when he does get targeted, you can see what kind of player he is.
He's a player. I think he hit the Tillman pick. I think he's got that one. And I think he's made some other trades. I mean, Martin Emerson looks like he should have been the first rounder. I mean, so many other picks that he's made. Some the DeJuan Jones. You got a franchise right tackle now. So many other picks he's made. Grant Delpit. He's done a hell of a job, especially with the defense, rebuilding the defense. J.O.K.
Yeah, J.O.K. I mean, my good grief.
Yeah, I mean, Andrew Berry needs a contract extension, probably.
Well, yeah, and you look at everything he's done since he started, you know, the rebuild, and now he's got them in a position right now where they got $40 million in the offseason almost. Mm-hmm. So they're this good, and they still got $40 million. He's done a hell of a job. I mean, like I said,
giving away those assets hasn't really hurt them.
No, I mean, if they don't ever win a Super Bowl, we're going to go look back and say, well, they never got it done. You give away those assets, you better win. But I mean, right now,
had they not done it, they're not where they are right now.
No, I don't second guess that. Here, you get this. What if he didn't do that, and we just had some run-of-the-mill quarterback?
We could be dying a slow death right now.
Right.
You'd be looking at Myles Garrett probably getting up out of here after the year.
Yeah.
A bunch of other guys following suit. Probably Greg Newsome with the same agency. Nick Chubb probably wouldn't be coming back. Amari Cooper would probably be trying to get out of town. Njoku would probably request a trade again. I mean, go back. People need to go back and watch the 2021. Watch the 2021 Cleveland Browns Bakers last year, and you tell us why they made that move.
Here, every quarterback's getting paid now. Every starting quarterback's getting paid. Browns just did it first. If they didn't do it, they would have to follow suit because somebody else would have did it right after them. But they had to. If they didn't do it, what would everyone said? Well, they just weren't aggressive enough. Atlanta got them. So you can't. That's just crazy. You can never. I'm always going to want. Here, I always tell people around me that I work with. And it's the way I believe in operating, and I believe it in anything, is aggression. It's easier to pull back the reins than it is to push someone. You know what I mean? So I just be aggressive. And they had to do it. They had an opportunity to, you know what I mean? And this guy could still, it's been a rough first 2 years. But what if he comes back next year? I mean, I don't know what the hell they're going to do with the Flacco thing, but let's just say hypothetically it's Watson next year. I mean, the dude's, what was he, 5-1 this year, 6-1?
5-1.
5-1. I mean, what if he comes in and you know, what if they leave Flacco there on the bench to help him? You know what I mean?
Well, that's what Bernie brought up. Remember, Kosar brought that up on the Alta Clear, and I like that theory. I think that's one thing. A guy like Deshaun, when he comes back, he needs somebody on the bench to help him. Now, here's my only thing, though. We'll just get into it now. Depending on how far this team goes, and if Flacco keeps this up, they got to really sit and evaluate, though. Does Flacco run the offense better? How many seasons do we think Flacco has at this level? Because then it does put you in a tough spot, though, because you're kind of like, you know, if a team calls and gives you, because there's always somebody out there like Atlanta. I could see Atlanta again. There's somebody calling and saying, "Hey, we'll take that money. We just need a quarterback because we're dying. We need somebody in here. We need a name." If you're the Browns, do you consider it? And do you draft maybe? And what I'm saying is, would you consider if it's a big if, and it has to be a big if, and you have to really make sure you nail it, because you can't just give this guy away. Because I agree with you. I still think he can come back next year and play just fine, and they'll still be in contention. But if Flacco continues to run this offense flawlessly, and they go far in the playoffs. Let's say the AFC Championship game, and he's putting up 300 plus yards, and he thinks he can play a couple more years. It's a great draft to draft a young quarterback and develop him and sit him too behind him. Would you consider that route?
Yeah,
and exploring your options.
You have to, and you got to hope to God that you got to leave it at whoever plays best in training camp next year. You know what I mean? You got to be willing to. Here, if he outplays Watson in training camp, he's got to be your starter.
Let him compete.
Yeah, he's got to be willing to compete, and if he doesn't, if he's not willing to accept the backup role, then you cut him.
Leverage. You could. I would
trade him. Yeah, either way. But you tell him, hey,
it's a win-win for the.
We're not going to hold you up here. We're not going to hold you up. Yeah. But you never know. I mean, the dude's won a Super Bowl. He's going to be 39 years old next month. He seems like he really loves Cleveland. He might be at that point in his career where he don't really care to go start. You know what I mean? He may not. Maybe I'm wrong.
It's a tough question because you don't know if it's because if he has that mindset, you don't know if it's just kind of like a one last hurrah. He wanted one last shot and he gets it done, and maybe like you said, maybe he's just content just sailing off in the sunset and not really, I don't know. I mean, I think either way, I think it's a win-win either way for the Browns.
I was saying he might be.
If you're trading Deshaun away, that means Joe Flacco took you far in the playoffs, and he looks like He looks like Brady late in his career, still a franchise guy, or Rodgers, or you know what I mean. So it's still a win-win either way for the Browns, I think.
Yeah, I mean, somebody will take that contract.
But if not, 3 years. If he comes back and plays, he's got to come back. But if you keep him and he's your starter next year, I still think you're fine anyways. The way he was playing, I think he's. I still think you're fine either way. Especially if you go out and if this rumors about T. Higgins come true. I mean, you're looking really good now. But I don't know. It's going to be tough. But go ahead.
I think the dream scenario is he's willing to come back and be a backup and just teach. You know what I mean? Because some people, that's what happens with a lot of guys. They get to that point in their career and, you never know. I mean, here his wife may not want him starting. I don't know. There's a lot of different things to play into.
It's tricky because you don't know too. Like this could be like it for him. This could be the last he's got. If he comes back next year, it looks like a 40-year-old. Now you're screwed. You know what I mean?
Well, that's where the dream scenario is if they get him to take a backup role and just and teach and get the credit for getting Deshaun Watson back on track. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And they can just sit there and just relax every damn sideline. You know what I mean? Because I don't give a shit. Here, not everybody's like Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. They're 38, 39 years old. You don't want to have to go through all that bullshit. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. You just kind of, not everybody's, like I said, not everybody's like a Tom Brady, just got that competitive fire like he does. The dude just might be cool with still wanting to be on a team, being around it, but stand on the sideline and being and teaching. That's a great thing. So
yeah, well, it's gonna be something we'll probably have to discuss in the offseason because I think right now, going back to this season though, you look at this team now. You got the Jets coming up Thursday night. I like us at home against the Jets. I think they barely. I don't know if they even won today.
They did. They barely
beat the Commanders.
Barely got in, but they got in.
I don't see us losing on Thursday night in Cleveland. We never lose on Thursday nights under Stefanski. So I like us at home this Thursday. I think that'll be the game. I think we're in the playoffs now. We just haven't officially clinched yet, but we're in the playoffs. Thursday night will just be the cherry on top, which kind of makes that Cincinnati game at the end of the year kind of a meaningless game now, in a way, because we're already in. And I mean, maybe if we win, it'll come down to seeding. Or if Baltimore somehow loses the next two, then it's a big game because we can win the division if we win that game. But we'll see what happens. But if you look at this team now, like you said earlier, going back to your point, I don't know if anybody wants to play this team right now. I think Buffalo's looking damn good right now. I think Buffalo and the Browns right now and the 49ers have probably been the three best teams in the entire NFL. Or I don't want to say entire, but they've been the three
hottest teams as of late.
As of late in the last month, you're kind of like, those are the three teams. Nobody wants to play the 49ers on the other side because their defense and all the talent they got, and they've been the top team. They've been consistently good. But if you look at the Browns and the Lions, the Browns and the By the way, shout out to Chris's Lions. Chris, if you're watching, come join it. See, like they won the division today, the Lions. But if you look at the Browns and the Bills, I don't know who the hell wants to play either of those teams. And our buddy John says, Brownie Town, let's go. Shout out to John.
What's up, bud?
Yeah. Shout out to John. Go Browns. But yeah, if you're who wants to play either of those teams, especially the Browns, be honest, the way they look today with that offense and that defense.
Yeah, I don't think so. And they seem every week they're getting better and better and better. But the advantage we have is, and like I said, I don't care if he's 38. We got a quarterback that's won a Super Bowl. We got a quarterback that was elite when he was playing
at a high level.
Yeah, and he's playing at a very, very high level. And those teams that you've mentioned don't have that. So that's a huge advantage for us.
Either.
No, I mean the 49ers do, but I mean,
I'm talking about you look at our conference.
Oh, yeah.
The 49ers, if the Browns play like they did today, the 49ers had all teams in the NFL, the only team that can really match up because they can score points. They have a great defense.
Yeah.
I don't know. Buffalo, I think Buffalo's got a pretty good defense. But it's very few teams. If the Browns played the Chiefs right now in the playoffs and the way they look, I would take the Browns.
Yeah, right now.
The Browns are much more physical. They're much better on the perimeter. The Chiefs have no good not great wide receivers. You bracket Kelsey, take him away. You got Delpit coming back healthy probably. And the way they can play ball. That drive, it's not just they're scoring points. They're putting together drives too.
Yeah, that one drive was, 18 plays?
You're making the other team's quarterback just sit ice cold on the other side.
Yeah. Yeah, you can't sit and say, well, if you're having a discussion about teams that can go all the way, you have to put the Browns in there.
They have to be. They've earned that.
Yeah, and if you look at they're playing football like kids. That's a dangerous thing.
Mm-hmm.
When they're playing it the way it's supposed to be played, the emotion, having the fun, that's when a team's dangerous, man. So
oh boy, Dan's got some shots fired. He said we don't need Milad in here acting all negative. We got the win. We going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Strap your boots.
Strap your boots. Yeah, I texted Dan earlier. Oh, I'll read you what Dan told me. Because it's Christmas Eve, so Dan wasn't able to come on. But if you're watching, Dan's watching the Bucks right now too. He's gonna watch that.
Yeah.
But Dan said some of his text to me, some of the things he said. No complaints about Stefanski for me today. Let's keep rolling. He thinks we're witnessing the greatest QB play of our generation in Cleveland.
We really are. I'm telling you, it's the best. I think it's the best I've ever seen in Cleveland. It's just almost like I said, Bernie. This Bernie did some crazy shit, but Bernie was not. It's nowhere near as talented as Flacco.
By the way, I just dropped a link in the chat. We're gonna stay up here a little more. John, if you want to hit that link right there in the comment section. You can come up here and chat with us. If you want, you don't have to be on camera. There's an off-camera button too. Anybody wants to join, hit that link right there in the chat. You come up and talk some ball with us real quick. Flacco, but like I was saying, I don't know who the hell wants to play this team. You look at the standings too. Right now we play Jacksonville. I really like us over Jacksonville. We just beat them.
Yeah.
I like us. Like I said, and there's a shot we could still win this division. And if Baltimore loses to the 49ers, I think they will tomorrow night. I pick the 49ers, and if they lose to the Dolphins, that with 2 losses and we win out, we win the division.
Yeah, we got a chance, man.
We got a shot.
Look at the Browns sitting there with 10 wins.
10 wins. What do you think? Do you think they went out? I think they went out. I think they finished 12.
Yeah, I think they went out. I think they'll beat the shit out of the Jets Thursday night.
Yeah,
and they'll pretty much lock in the spot there. What a great thing doing it at home on a Thursday night. And then here, that Cincinnati game. Cincinnati, the Browns have more to play for than they do. So, trying to win the division. And they got a great chance. I think they win out. Just get like you said, depends on what happens with Baltimore.
I gotta go to our boy, David Njoku. Another touchdown today. Another great game from David.
Yep.
You heard what Bernie said about David this week. You heard what Hanford Dixon high praise for Bernie or for Njoku. What did you think of David again today? And just David down the stretch here. He's playing the best ball of his career, I think, down the stretch this last month.
Yeah, he's playing his best football. But that, Njoku last week, and then here he had 6 catches this week and a touchdown. But that threat of Njoku makes it easier for Cooper. You know what I mean? Yeah. So, and then having a quarterback that can hit any of them. You know what I mean? So it's just all clicking right now the way it's supposed to click, and we're just so like not used to seeing that here. But Njoku, I love Njoku. I love his intensity. Dude's just a fucking gladiator, and that's what I love. I just like guys like that, man. He gets the ball, he gets yards after the catch, he tries to punish people. Dude's trying to hurdle people. I mean, that just gets everybody fired up, man. If it gets me fired up the way it does, I can't imagine what it does to his teammates. So, yeah, it's just all clicking right now, right at the right time.
Where would you rank him right? Do you think last week we debated if he was top 5 tight end. I think after this last month, listen to Matt McChesney too, with Matt, a lot of guys that have played in the NFL I've been listening to this week, former players, all of them, they think Njoku is he's in the top 5 because he's a mismatch. He's a very unique tight end. He blocks well. He's a nightmare for linebackers. He's a nightmare for anybody, really, because he's his size speed combination. He's really a receiver playing tight end, and so I don't know how you keep him out right now.
Oh, he's up there, and that's the huge advantage he has is like I said that a couple weeks ago. He's just very unique. He's a hybrid. He just can't cover the cat, and he's super athletic. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I mean, just the way he catches balls in the back of the end zone, and you see him leaping up for catches all the time. And he's good in space. He's great in space. You get some tight ends that are reliable, and you need 5 yards, 7 yards. They get open, they get you that, but they can't do what he does in space. I'm not saying there's no other tight end that does, but you don't see a lot of them that do that, in my opinion. So I absolutely is top 5. I think any GM in football would say that.
There's a lot of ex-players I heard.
Here, I love about the guys. He burned himself up. Fucking burned himself up, and he still played. You know what I mean?
He still played. I mean, you know how hard that is to go out there. And I actually feel bad because I was joking around, but it was an accident. It was a freak accident to find.
Yeah.
I'm glad he was okay, obviously. But love you, David. But yeah, I mean, he played that next game too with DTR quarterback too, because that was when Deshaun got hurt, that whole thing before the game. And you know how hard it is to play with burns. Burns and the sweat getting into the burns. Yeah. I mean, if anybody wants to challenge Njoku's toughness, I mean, you got to be out of your freaking mind.
Man, I never blew myself up and burned myself the way he did, but I've had like
Well, he didn't blow himself up. He burned himself.
I know. I'm being facetious. I'm just being. But
okay.
I'm telling you, almost 30 years ago, I was out on a boat, and I told you about that. How I got burned really bad on a boat. To a point where I couldn't work for a week. I couldn't even move. And I just remember that pain. I mean, it was like purple bubble wrap all over my face, my shoulders. And I think they said I 2nd degree when I went to the doctor, but I just remember that pain. But there was nothing like having a flash flame come up on you and burn your arms up, your hands, and your face. So the fact that he just went out a couple of days later and still played, like I say, he's a gladiator, and that's what I like. And he loves Cleveland. And I tell anyone that, would you rather him not be on your team? I think you'd be out of your mind if you said, you know what? I wish he wasn't on our team.
Did you hear what his coach said about him last week? When the post-game speech, he goes, "This guy, I mean, a phenomenal locker room guy. Everybody loves this guy."
Oh yeah, Stefanski dropping the MF and all kinds of, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. I love Njoku.
Yeah, I don't know how you not like him. I mean, again, the guy, the last month, he's been playing out of his mind. I'm curious what his stats are the last month
Well,
with Flacco. But
here, you got to remember, I don't care if you have, I don't care who you have. I don't care if we had Jerry Rice, a receiver, or Gronkowski. If you don't have a quarterback that can get them the ball,
that's tall.
that correct ball placement, the timing, if you don't have that quarterback, your numbers aren't going to be there. What we're seeing is people's strengths and talents being utilized now because the other half of the play, the quarterback is getting the ball there where it needs to get. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they're not dropping it. Now, I'm going to be critical of them because earlier in the year they were sitting there, both of them were dropping, him and Cooper dropping balls, but he's delivering the ball right on, and they're catching it, and the fruits of the labor is there. So,
yeah, I think under Flacco, he's had 4 touchdowns under Flacco.
right.
And we got a new comment. Leo is in the house.
No, Leo. Here, Chief.
Here, Chief. Relax. He's keeping it real. We're doing okay, but we're barely a top 10 team, Chief.
Oh,
shout out to Leo.
Relax.
Here, Chief. By the way, if anybody wants to join, the link's in the chat. If you want to come join, you can.
Here, Chief.
Feel free to come up here. Shout out to Leo. But yeah, since I'm trying to think, since Flacco's been on the team, he's had 14, 28, 37 targets and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah. So, I mean, what do you put that on? Like, I don't know how many games. What's Flacco play? 4 games?
Yeah. Oh,
so
yeah. He's completed hits. He's like 24 out of the 30, whatever.
So it puts him on a 15 to 16 touchdown pace for the season for a tight end. You know what I mean? So
because before Flacco got here, he only had 2 touchdowns for the whole year, and it was when Deshaun was here against Arizona in the Seattle game. Other than that, he didn't have a touchdown the whole year, and he didn't have the high volume of targets he's had right now either. Well, he's had a couple of games like that, but with the yards and the targets and the average of yards too, you're like, I mean, just this consistency the last 4 games.
Here, all we're seeing is the way football is supposed to be played. The passing game is supposed to be played. I mean, Brady, what was that, 3 years ago when he won a Super Bowl?
2020, yeah.
Okay, so we've already forgotten about that. Rodgers out for the year. I mean,
if you look at who dominated that Super Bowl too against that Chiefs team, it was AB, it was Gronk, it was Brady, Fournette, all older guys with experience. And I think that's something that's been overshadowed out of the league, like we mentioned earlier. All these teams that are trying to contend, when we talk about all these young teams, they're young teams, though. They don't have guys that know how to win. Like, people don't really realize the recipes for championship teams. You have to have these veteran guys, these guys that know how to win.
Especially if you can get that quarterback. Remember what those guys said in Tampa that they said, I can't remember who it was, but they said it's Tom Brady's first day in the locker room. What
setting the tone.
Yeah, and then I think they said the same thing about Rodgers when Rodgers showed up in New York. And so, Flacco just having that pedigree, that experience, that Super Bowl, and being a winner. I mean, the guy, he's used to winning. That's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
You talk about Brady, you talk about Rodgers. These guys are used to winning. When you're used to winning, you don't accept anything but winning, and you just have the utmost confidence in your ability, and you always believe that you can win. You always believe you're going to win because that's just what you're used to. That's your mindset, and it just becomes contagious. And I think that's what's happened is that offense now is just like, I think the offense probably prior to him was just kind of like week to week, like,
barely just getting by.
Yeah. And now you can see their belief, and they've won a few games now, and they like it and they're used to it and they want to keep it going. So it's just like, that's just what it does. It just becomes contagious.
Well, and the difference between him and the other guys too, there was a confidence with him. Amari Cooper going out there getting that kind of yards like that and that kind of game he had today.
Yeah.
He could tell when he's running his route. Like you just have a different pep in your step.
Yeah.
You believe in that guy that's throwing you the ball.
Oh yeah, and that's it. I mean, because you see, he has the credentials. I mean, Flacco. As much as I don't like Baltimore, it's a good organization, and Ozzie Newsome and Brian Billick's probably who drafted him. And then playing on a Harbaugh, he was taught how to win there. I mean, he was part of all their success, but it's a winning organization. As much as I hate him, it's the truth. It's a winning organization. It's kind of like when LeBron left the Cavs for the first time. He said he had to learn how to win in Miami.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Which was a winning Pat Riley was a winning organization. So it's the same thing as this dude's just used to winning. That's all he knows. And his mindset is different than what all these guys, what they're used to. So like I said, it just becomes contagious.
Well, not only that too, you're hearing other guys. Let me put this up here in a second. Wait for this ad to go by. Julian Edelman, who knows a lot about winning Super Bowls and championships, he made a comment this week about. Let me see if I can put it on the screen here. Fair use, YouTube. Fair use. Let's calm down. Can you see that right there?
Yeah.
Super Bowl champion Julian Edelman compares 2023 Cleveland Browns to Super Bowl winning 2012 Ravens. And I can find his quote down here, right here. I'll play this.
Nemesis Joe Flacco and the Browns.
I know. I like.
You like watching Joe? Are you at the?
I do. I mean, we came in the
that?
same year, so he was an old nemesis, but I'm excited for him and how he's doing. Because it didn't look great when he was in New York. I talked to Chad. He's over there, Chad O'Shea with the Browns. And they're saying he said, I mean, he can still throw it. He gives him opportunity, and it's really interesting. That team reminds you of the Baltimore team that he won a Super Bowl on.
Yeah,
all Flacco's got to do is really take care of the ball, hit a couple of those deep balls, which he loves throwing. He's had some mistakes, but you expect that for a guy who just came off the couch, and he's played some really good football even with those mistakes.
Well, if he can do what he did when he won a Super Bowl and not have any interceptions at all in the playoffs, I could see Cleveland winning a Super Bowl if he doesn't throw a single interception.
Well, I think it's going to be a tough road. It'll be a tough road, but there'll be a strong team.
Well, going back to what that dude said, look at what Cleveland's done, leading the league in turnovers, giving the ball up on offense. Could you imagine if they can get in the playoffs and never turn the ball over? I don't know if they lose. Dan said this 1 or 2 weeks ago. I don't think they ever lose a game.
Well, and I don't think
the league in takeaways.
His 2 picks today, I don't really.
Those were garbage.
Kickers out. They were garbage picks, so he didn't turn the ball over today. In my opinion, I didn't consider him turning the ball over today.
I don't think they lose the game if they don't turn the ball over on off. They don't lose a game.
If they don't turn the ball over and they can just get this running game getting a little hot here, I would try Pierre a little bit more down the stretch. I think the O-line just get back healthy too. Today was the first game back with Pochich and that interior, and Batonio and all that. So if they can these last 2 games, nice little tune-up games for the running game, especially against Cincinnati. If they get that running game going a little bit more, because they're averaging 3-4 yards, maybe about 4 yards a carry. And like you said, not turn the ball over. I mean, I don't yeah. And it is similar to that team. That team was a defensive-led team. That Ravens team, you had an older Ray Lewis who was trying to get one more on the way out, one of the greatest defensive players of all time. You had Terrell Suggs, all those guys, but also on the other end, they didn't have I think their receivers. I think were I think it was like Torrey Smith that year was like the big guy they had. It was a lot of deep balls, like you said there. They pushed the ball downfield a lot, and he just kind of did his thing to win that game in that Super Bowl.
Yeah, they can do that and still be able to run the ball when needed. If they don't turn that ball over and they can run the ball when needed, I don't, and they can not have any more injuries and get healthier. I mean, how the hell you rule them out? I mean, you definitely have to consider them. So, it's And you know what? They should get healthier. I think maybe I was sitting there thinking about this as you're talking. If they win Thursday, which I think they'll win, it might be best to just sit some of these guys that game against
Well, you
the
got the
Bengals.
division on the line, though.
Oh, I know, but
Division, it's division. If you can win the division title and seeding, I'd rather play Jacksonville first than Kansas City. So
yeah, but
I get what you're saying. If it got to that point, I don't know. That's probably a slim shot, but I would say if you know you're not going to win the division, but you're going to keep the fifth slot no matter what happens, then you could do that. But
and at Garrett, is Garrett just kind of like? I mean, he has had a sack in 5-6 games. Is he just kind of like?
I think he had one. I mean, today he could tell he was just kind of. I mean, Zadarius Smith was the star today, on like Mike mentioned earlier.
Well, I know he's against Tunsil, but is he kind of just preserving himself? Is he preserving himself? Who knows?
Which I don't have a problem with.
I don't either because they're still winning games. You know what I mean? But it seems like whenever he wants to get a sack, he can get a sack.
He could turn it on and off whenever he wants.
But it's like, is he starting to preserve himself a little bit, dialing it back a little bit, and just saying, you know what, I'm not going to go for sack record. I'm not going to want, to hell with it. I want to win.
Well, the injury hurt him in the Defensive Player of the Year thing. He'll probably try to go for that. He'll probably get it next year. Let's see. Yeah, he hasn't had a sack since Pittsburgh at home. Back in November 19th. Yeah, November 19th. He had 2 sacks that game. Since then, though, he's still had some great games, tackle for losses and stuff like that. Yeah, he hasn't really needed to, though. A lot. I mean,
that's what I'm saying.
He's created pressures, and they've had a lot. I think good amount of interceptions last month, but
he just turned the motor down a little bit to be a little bit fresher, so he can quote activate himself in the playoffs. He's going to activate. He's a clutch client. He's going to activate.
Yeah. He's going to activate.
But I think my guy, and I'm telling you, everyone's starting to see it now, but the star in the making is Koromoa. Koromoa is just, man, that even his rookie year, you could see it, just how good this guy was going to be. I mean, you're talking about a hybrid or a freak. I mean, this dude
right here. Pay the man his money.
Yeah, pay that man. My gosh.
So I could buy the jersey too. Pay that man.
He's my favorite player on defense. I mean, Koromoa and Chubb are my favorite players. I just love that dude's motor, man. And he's multi. You can play him different places, and I love it.
Well, I think too, you've seen the defense look a lot more. I think that Denver game they looked a little scrappy and not good. The Rams game, they didn't look great. Whenever since they came back home, though, against Jacksonville, you look the last 3 weeks, getting Ward back in that secondary, which is your biggest piece back there. Yeah, you got the 3-headed monster now. You got Garrett, J.O.K, and Ward.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's pretty. And you just signed Delpit, who was having a Pro Bowl year. You still got Emerson and Newsom, who are elite corners, in my opinion. You look around the league. I think they're ranked. Emerson was number 1 going in today. Newsom was 2. I think Ward was 2, and then another guy was 4. And the coverage in the whole NFL. There are 3 guys in the top 5 in coverage in the whole NFL.
They're making it a lot easier for that defensive line. I mean, you know what I mean? It's just football's being played the way it should be played. You got to give it to the coaching staff. I mean, Schwartz, Bill Callahan. God darn. Chad, what these guys have done. Those
receivers are playing really. Remember early in the year, we were bitching about the receivers.
Yeah.
Those receivers, well, I think a lot of it's the quarterback play, but those receivers are playing really well. Yeah, they're playing really well. Oh, Dan, I don't know if you saw this earlier. Parker said, we don't need Malott up in here acting all negative. We're trying to go to the Super Bowl and shit.
Parker.
Dan said, though, the Bucks. I think the Bucks right now. What's the score of that game, Dan? I saw they were up 10-0. Which is good. That's a battle going on because the Falcons won today. Corey's Falcons, and now you got the Bucks. If they win, there's a battle going on down there between. So we got a battle on the show between Team Malott and 20-0.
Oh wow!
There you go. By the way, I want to play Jackson. I mean, has there been a Doug Peterson's coaching job in Jacksonville this year with Trevor Lawrence? I think who's their offensive coordinator that he hired? You'll like this. He hired. Let me look it up. Jaguars. You know who he hired as their offensive coordinator?
Who?
Press Taylor. That's the job that's been going on down there in Jacksonville this year with Doug Peterson and Press Taylor. And everybody's saying Trevor Lawrence is overrated. He's on the same level as Daniel Jones and all that. He's not generational. I listen.
Because how stupid people are. People don't understand there's so many intricacies in football and how important coaching is and play calling is, and it's just crazy.
I mean, do you really think Trevor Lawrence is overrated? And that
hell no, he's not overrated.
It's all his fault. It's all his fault this year. Not his coach's fault though. Not Press Taylor and Doug Peterson's fault.
It's always here. The guy just doesn't. Everyone knew what he was coming out of college. It just doesn't go away. I mean, he wasn't just a good quarterback in college. The cat was dominant in college. He was a freak, and he played he played the best competition. It just
led to the playoffs,
right?
And they had a playoff win.
And how many quarterbacks have you seen come out of college that way, and they get around bad coaching, and their career dissipates?
It's like, you really think, why should the Bears move off of Justin Fields when they've done a disservice to him?
That's what I'm saying. You got to go back to Tom Brady. Here, Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. What would Tom Brady be where he's at right now if he didn't play for the Patriots and Bill Belichick? Probably not. They deserve some of the credit too.
Super Bowl? Would he have 7 Super Bowls? Probably not.
Yeah, and
he would probably even
arguably the great. I mean, the greatest quarterback ever. Some people call him the greatest player ever. Yes, the coaching plays into that. I mean, Joe Montana with Bill Walsh, Steve Young with Bill Walsh. I mean, coaching is very important. Not just head coach, assistant coaches, and we're seeing it right now in Cleveland.
Well, we hadn't seen it either since Marty and Schottenheimer and Marty Ball and he was a great coach and Kosar. It's important.
Yeah, I don't care how talented your players are. If you got bad coaching, it's never going to work.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm fine.
I have nothing negative to say about Stefanski or the Cleveland Browns today, other than Jerome Ford needing to give us his snaps to Pierre Strong. Yeah, we mentioned that.
I agree. I've been saying that.
If he's going to continue to tip throw to the line, I don't know why he's so hesitant either. Because I watched him in college and he was not. I don't know, but I agree. I think Pierre Strong. I would use Pierre Strong kind of like how the Chiefs used Pacheco last year.
Yeah, I want more Pierre Strong. He's elusive.
He gives you a little different more out and bring Hunt in.
Right.
Merry Christmas to the Labins. Have a great holiday. Love you guys. Love you too, Dan.
Right,
man.
Merry Christmas, man.
Well, I was gonna text you after. I'll still text you, but yeah, Merry Christmas to you guys as well. Go Bucks, and Browns. I still root for Tampa because Tampa's my second home. I got love for Tampa. But yeah, I mean, before we get out of here, though, we got a good hour out of this, and appreciate everybody for tuning in to on Christmas Eve, and Merry Christmas to you guys. Right now, we talked about it earlier. The extension, we both said you probably have to extend Andrew Berry right now. We think it's heading that direction. I don't know how you can, the way the roster's been able to keep going. A lot of that's it's his roster he put together. Obviously, the coaching staff, but I think Kevin Stefanski, on a scale of 1 to 10 right now, where would you rank? I'm signing this guy. I'm getting him an extension.
I'm gonna say an 8. I don't think anybody's ever at a 10 because I just think the way these billionaire owners are, if they feel like there's an upgrade, they're always going to leave that window open. But it's definitely climbed for me. I'm pleased with what he's done as a fan. So, but I think the way the Browns are looking at it, front office, just the way they think, the business side of it, he's at an 8. I mean, they're probably planning on extending him. But if something went wrong, the system or the season just fell apart, it might be a different story. But the way that they're projecting or the way they're trending, yeah, he's going to get extended.
Yeah, I give him an 8 too. I think too.
And here's the other thing too is the one thing we don't know is what's the player saying. That's what the front office knows. What's the player saying? Because that's the report card. It's not just the wins and battle and adversity. The real report card, because those guys in the locker and the players know more than anybody.
You've seen it publicly. You've seen it in the locker room celebrations. You've seen it on the sidelines. Him and Garrett's relationship. You've seen what guys have said about, and not only that, I mean, you got like they do the in-house podcast that Anthony Walker, I think, does a lot of, and you got like Stefanski, Barry joining the podcast. You could tell they're all good relationships with these guys. That's important, especially in today's sports.
Well, if you found that now, that chemistry, and you found that where that 53-man roster is behind that coach, he's leading them, and they're all behind him. You don't change him then. If you have that, you don't change him because you got all the talent in the world, and now you have that intangible to where it's kind of like when I think about this. I experienced my years at Barber Road. We had a leader that we just all got behind, and we had a ton of success there for a long time. And so if that's to me, that's the report card. What are the players saying? How do the players feel? And how do your leaders on your team feel? How's your other coaches feel? And if everybody's on board and they want, then you re-sign him. You don't. I don't think there's no instance where you don't extend him. Then, if that's the consensus across the team is we're playing for Stefanski, then you extend him.
Well, I think too the guy's had a lot to deal with since he's been here. His first year was a COVID year. He inherited Baker Mayfield and Odell Beckham Jr., which was a fiasco. He inherited that mess coming out of that 19th season. In 21, his quarterback Baker got hurt. Remember he tried to tackle the safety, got hurt his shoulder for the rest of the year. That messed up that season. You could tell too that year they were looking to move on, get their guy, because this regime didn't draft Baker. But they still maxed out Baker though his first year, made the playoffs and won a game. And I think too, you look at last year, you got the Deshaun thing. You went for the guy. He got suspended 12 games. They pretty much kicked the can on the season because once you find out your quarterback's out from pretty much most of the season, you're just trying to do the best you can with Jacoby Brissett. And still were competitive to a point in that seat last year. But you look at this year though, again, the adversity, all the injuries. The quarterback getting hurt, the quarterback carousel again this year. I mean, key players, all your offensive line getting depleted at one point. Your star running back, possibly the best player on your team, out for the year at week 2. So now your running game shot, and you got to regroup there. And the fact that they're still 10-5, and they got Joe Flacco playing at a high level, and Amari Cooper do what he did today. I mean, I don't. You have to extend the guy, and I think you have to now. And the way, and this really says it all right here. What Jim Schwartz said. We'll leave with this too. This is what Jim Schwartz said this week in his press conference about the culture.
When you experience some injuries, or you experience a couple losses in a row, or any of those things, when you don't have good culture, all of a sudden you start seeing guys that become maybe a little bit selfish, or guys start dropping off, or you start getting all those things. We haven't seen that from this team. This team has been resilient. Particularly recently, we've had to deal with a lot of injury situations. You've seen unselfishness from players. With that and it's not like things are bad. I say when you're at your worst, or when things are the worst, how you are is how culture is defined. But I'd probably just shift that a little bit. Your culture is defined by, how you act when things are most challenging. And we've had some challenging times, all season as a team.
Yeah.
Sure.
And I think Schwartz knows a lot about winning and cultures and good head coaches. And here, Schwartz didn't come here to try to be the head coach. He said he does not want to be a head coach again. So, I mean, he came here, and I'm sure he could have got other jobs well. I mean, I think there's a respect that's being built for their head coach, and I think people on the outside have to respect that. That make you have to see that and see how important it is, and say, okay, And he's adapted too. He's adapted throughout the season. And I think he finally has the guy that's running the offense he wants to run.
Yeah, that's true. And I mean, here you what you just said a few minutes ago, and you mentioned Odell. I mean, you'll never have chemistry on a team with that guy. I mean, he is the most toxic, one of the most poisonous players.
Not at that time, and the comments he was making in the media.
Yeah, could you imagine how he acted when even when the cameras weren't on him? I mean, he acted horrible when the cameras were on him, but he was probably one of those players that acted worse. I mean, it was just always about him. Woe is me. Just acted very dramatic. Jarvis Landry's the same way. I mean, not as bad, but it was the same.
I'll give Jarvis credit. Jarvis did when Odell went out in 2020. Jarvis was he was pretty good. Yeah, I wouldn't put Jarvis in that category. I would just keep it on Odell. I would say Odell.
They were spotlight.
Odell never wanted to be here.
They loved the spotlight. They wanted the spotlight on them. And I get you guys are pro athletes. They all want their fair share. But I'm sitting here watching Amari Cooper, and I'm just making that. There's that contrast. I mean. So our number one receiver, what's that do to the receiving corps when he has that kind of temperament, where he's kind of like Chubb? He's just a quiet guy, doesn't really showboat.
I would say the whole team.
That's what I'm saying now. You don't really have anybody on the team that's so self-centered like that or poisonous or toxic.
Well, and you don't have any like guys like he's a great player, but remember like Jamar Chase for the first game of the season? Cleveland, and you're just kind of like, and he says that, and he goes out and lays an egg, and I get it's a rainstorm, but maybe you should look at the weather forecast next time you shoot your mouth off to a team, and the team obviously was trolling after it's just stuff like that. You can't say stuff. These guys nowadays, like, you're not Randy Moss, you're not Jerry Rice.
They haven't put the time in and earned the right to say that. You know what I mean?
Right. You can put up some nice seasons and be a great, but you can't say that because it affects your team. And Amari doesn't do that. And Flacco doesn't do that. And that doesn't really happen under Stefanski either.
No, it just we got great leadership on the field. And that's what makes it easier for the coaches too. So it's everything's firing. Everything's happened the way it should happen in pro sports, especially football. And from the front office all the way down. And it's all coming together. And just hope it stays on track.
Yeah. Go Browns.
Because Cleveland's not Cleveland anymore.
Yeah, Cleveland ain't Cleveland anymore.
Well, it's not the Cleveland of the last 20, 30 years. It's like
not a good night down there last night in Kentucky, I can tell you that.
Right. Cleveland's back where it should be.
Yeah. Well, Dad, you want to tell them Merry Christmas to everybody, by the way. Enjoy your Christmas Eve tonight, everybody. Be safe, drive safe, and have a great time with your family and friends. You want to tell them, Dad, why they need to subscribe and Merry Christmas?
Well, first I want to say Merry Christmas. Well, first I want to say.
Oh, actually, yeah. Plug your. If you guys missed his tremendous video this week, my dad did. Message for parents out there with kids with anxiety. Really, just a great video in general. Beyond anxiety, it was just a great video. Your wisdom you shared, especially experience from wisdom from our experience that we went through as a family the last 9 years, and definitely go check that out.
Yeah, I mean, it was like I said on there. I'm not some professional. I'm not trying to tell people what to do. I'm not all high on myself or anything like that. But just from experience, and I've learned a lot. And it's been on my mind lately, and Joseph had asked me to share it, so I wanted to share it, and hopefully. With only one intent, and it was to help someone and maybe make somebody think, make people think the way I've thought. I've done a lot of thinking. So, but that's it. But I do want to say thanks to James Jones, who chatted in earlier. James Jones.
Umbre.
Yeah, he's been a supporter of yours for a long time. So if you're still watching, I want to tell him thanks, man. And it's just like I say every week, and you're getting more and more subscribers, getting more and more people involved. It's just a great show. Both ends of it. The basis of the show is mental health, which is critical right now. I think everyone knows that, and there's nothing better than being in a space where you can, if you're someone that struggles with that, or you got things on your mind, there's nothing better than talking to other people about it or hearing somebody else's experience. So show's great. there's a lot of, like I said, obviously, I see all the pain and the passion that's went into this by Joseph, and one of these days, I always say the fruits of his labor are going to come. I think they are coming, but one day it's going to come. So, just a great job, and we try to make it entertaining as far as on sports. So, other than that, everybody have a Merry Christmas, and as much as we talk about football on here, don't watch too much football. Spend time with your family and enjoy it. It's the greatest time of the year, and
my mom says Merry Christmas to everyone, and love you too, Mom, and thank you guys. I'm proud of you as well. Yeah, go ahead, Dad. You can finish up. Sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say here, just everybody enjoy it, and have a great day tomorrow, and we'll see you next week.
All right, we'll see you guys next one. We're out of here. Go Browns. Go.